Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here with a book review. The book that I am going to be reviewing is The Complete Guide to Rat Training by Debbie Ducommon. And if you recognize this book, I mentioned this in my 10 best books that I read in 2020. This ranked 10th. And for good reason, too. Rat training is something that has caught my interest. At some point in the future, I would say more likely years from now, I would like to learn more about and explore rat raising and rat training, but I would want to be in the best mindset and have the best possible resources and motive to go forward and make the best out of the experience, both for myself and for the rats that I own. More importantly, for the rats that I own, because I'd want to give them the best possible home. But this is a very assuring book about rat training. This in particular concentrates on the training of rats as opposed to the raising of rats. Ducommon did write a book about raising rats, and it's called Rats, Practical Advice from the Expert. I would like to read that at some point. I probably should have read that first, but this is the one that I got to in the beginning. But Debbie Ducommon is a proven authority on the subject of rat raising and training. She has appeared with her rats on the late night shows, and she was on To Tell the Truth, where she sat alongside two imposters, and the panelists were looking to guess who the real Debbie Ducommon was. Unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago, but she still, her knowledge and her information and her contributions to the world of rat raising and training still live on. Originally, she was a dog trainer, but eventually she got into rats, and that's what she became acclaimed for. But on that topic, when one wonders whether or not, when one is looking to measure the intelligence of rats, she mentions on page 19 that she believes the average rat is as smart as the average dog, but she does not think that the smartest rats are as smart as the smartest dogs, which one could make the explanation, the whole idea that when given a great time length of training, dogs can very well be used in very key ways. Service dogs, police dogs, dogs in the occupational field. But with that being said, she also believes that when it comes to comparing the human mindset, she finds that rats and humans have a very similar mindset. I found this book to be very assuring when it came to particular details. If there was a question that I had in mind, and I think that a lot of people will share similar concerns, there is a very good chance that it is addressed in this book. Probably the greatest concern that I had is whether or not you can, whether or not they can coexist with other pets, and in particular cats, because cats could be very set with their ways and want what they want, how and when they want it, and she gives details to how you can get the two of them to, how you can train them to coexist with one another or at least given an attempt, and then eventually the best case scenario is that the two of them get along with one another, or they just acknowledge each other and stay out of one another's way. She makes mention to getting rats that are currently residing with you and how to get them used to newer rats that join the colony per se. And on the topic of the living quarters, she also encourages the multi-story, 2 or 3 story cage as opposed to just a single story with food and water. She also believes that ideally you should have many of toys or things to occupy rats while they are in the cage, because that will help boost their intelligence. And when one says that it's you're fulfilling your experience best when you have just one rat, she says that that's not always the case, because in order to keep them occupied, it may be a safer bet to have multiple rats, 3 or 4 of them, so that they can become used to one another, but at the same time they will still be want your love and attention, and you could still train them and give them time to play outside of the cage, which she encourages a pretty decent length of time to spend with them, both when it comes to training and playing in a more casual way. But she also makes mention of the fact that rats are very food-driven. You want to incorporate a favorite treat of theirs as you are training them. And when it comes to different tricks, there are basic things like you would use to train a dog, such as sitting, coming, fetching. A little bit more advanced physical tricks like jumping through a hoop, and you have the obstacle courses, and then you have more intellectual tricks like the maze. She has said that she's incorporated tricks that she has practiced and have worked for her, but she does make mention to the fact that there are no boundaries. I mean, granted, you're not going to have it's going to be difficult to have a rat pilot an airplane, but you could have him drive a toy car. But she said that if you... she had made mention of the fact that if you were able to train them to do something that she didn't mention, she would love to hear what you did. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to do that anymore because she's resting in peace. But you still, I think that as long as it is achievable and reasonable, there are no boundaries when it comes to training rats. And this book does a great job encouraging you to get into rat raising and training. If you're thinking about getting a rat, I think that reading this book will encourage you and motivate you even more and give you that assurance that it is a good path to go down. And I think that I can't agree more with the fact that if I were to ever get a rodent as a pet, the rat would be the one that I would get, as opposed to a hamster, a gerbil, a chinchilla, a ferret, a mouse. I think that a rat would make for the most fulfilling experience. I read this for the first time in one go-through, and I think that I got a lot out of that experience, but I think that this is also going to be very beneficial when it comes to referring back as you are engaged in the hands-on experience, kind of like a manual or a cookbook, where it's very nice to read like you would a general book, but I think that this is still a reference book, and I feel that once you get to the various tricks and the training, referring back would be, I think it becomes clearer when you're using it as reference as opposed to just consuming information. There are a lot of bits of tidbit information where she'll be writing in general, and then you'll have these things on the corner, like right over here, where treats, praise, or me, where she talks about whether or not whether or not rats are motivated by treats, praise, or just spending time with their owner. Granted, all rats are different. All of them have different mindsets. So it all depends on the situation. And then it also depends on their environment. They did make mention of the fact that if you were to put them in a single-story cage with just food and water, they're not going to be as bright as they would be in a 2- or 3-story cage with toys and, to some extent, other rats. And then you also have these really cute pictures of rats here. Some of them are general, like like this rat over here, this little rat here. Or you have a bit more, you have the rats doing tricks, such as the one here that is riding a jeep, or this one that's practicing a trick. This particular trick is for shaking hands, which, on the topic of hands and rats, they are one of the few creatures that have hands that can manipulate objects like we do. At the moment, I do not have any other books on this topic that I can compare this to, but this really laid down the groundwork for what makes a good book on rat training. And I gave this a 4.5 out of 5, and I would really encourage people to check this out if they're looking to get into rat raising or training. And I think that this was fun to read, and I think that it will be a great resource to refer back to. Debbie Ducommon definitely knows her material and is a proven authority on rats, and she really cares about rats. She's passionate about them and the subject of raising them and training them and loving them. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you check out some more videos from this channel. If you like what you see, please support our channel on Patreon. For the money that we make will allow us to provide you, the viewer, with more material. For now, and as always, I encourage you to keep reading.